is rockhold. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Jason Sacco versus Gilbert Burns, and to me, this is two jiu-jitsu guys pretty much. I think Gilbert Burns has the better striking overall for sure, but I think on the ground is where this fight's going to take place, and I think Gilbert's got the higher level of jiu-jitsu in my opinion. He's fought at the world class. I think Jason Sacco's really good. He's a really high level Gracie black belt, but I still think Gilbert Burns is just a better jiu-jitsu guy overall, and I think once it hits the ground, Gilbert's probably going to win by submission, or he's just going to be on top more. Next, we got Luke Saunders versus Felipe Arantes, and to me, this is basically, their striking is probably about even. Luke might be a little bit better, but I think it's going to come down to Luke is going to go for takedowns, and I don't think his submission defense is very on point on the ground. And I think sooner or later, Felipe Arantes is going to go for that armbar. He gets a lot off his back, and I think that's going to happen. I think sooner or later, it's going to hit the ground, and Felipe is going to win by armbar off of his back. Next, we got Krzysztof Jotko versus Uriah Hall, and this fight is really close. It could go either way. I think it kind of just depends on who throws more volume, because I'd say they're probably about dead even. I think Jotko's more of a classic striker, and Uriah Hall is more of a fancy, like, do weird shit type of striker. But I think it's going to come down to volume, just who can land the more strikes, because I think they both have decent chins. I think they both are about even striking-wise. I'm going to go with Uriah Hall. I just think his speed is going to be the difference. I think he's going to land just a tiny bit more and just avoid a few more shots. I think he's going to edge out a close decision. Next is Anthony Hamilton versus Daniel Spitz, and I think Anthony Hamilton's just going to ragdoll this guy with his wrestling. I think he's got a huge advantage there. I think cardio and wrestling, he's just going to, as long as he doesn't get hit with a big shot, because he's been knocked out a bunch of times, I think he should be able to control this guy against the fence or on the ground, eventually win by TKO just once that guy starts to tire. So I've got Anthony Hamilton. Next, we got Tony Martin versus Olivier Mercier. And to me, this fight is really kind of striker versus grappler. Both guys have, I think, Olivier has some striking, but he's primarily like a judo grappler, as or vice versa. Tony Martin does have some decent jiu-jitsu, but he's primarily just a boxer striker. Like I said, this fight is really close because Tony Martin's looked really good in his last couple of fights, but I still feel like he's been inconsistent throughout the majority of his career. With Olivier, it's kind of the same thing. I feel like his striking is looking more on point now, but it's always been the weakest aspect of his game. So it's both these guys, I think, are at the same point in their career where they need to show that they're more consistent if they want to start fighting better people. And I'm going to go with Olivier just because if it is a striker versus grappler, and both the guys, like I said, have the same problem where they're consistent right now, but they've been inconsistent throughout their career, and I still think they have holes. I'm going to go with the grappler just because I think if Olivier can get this to the ground, I think he's going to have a big advantage, and I think he's going to win by rear naked choke once he does get it there. Next is Justin Ledet versus Zhu. I can't say this guy's last name. But Justin Ledet, to me, he isn't super impressive. He just looks like he's a really technical striker with good cardio and some pretty solid ground game. I mean, he's not bad anywhere. He's just not impressive anywhere. To me, Zhu looks like a really, really good striker. I think that, his biggest problem has just been guys that are better strikers, and I don't necessarily think Ledet is better. He's probably more technical, but I think if Zhu can just kind of go forward on him and throw combos, he should be able to win by knockout. Next is Karaman Usman versus Sergio Morales. And this fight is really hard because I think we're going to see how good Sergio Morales really is. Because if this turns into a grappling match, I think he should be the better fighter. I think conditioning-wise, Kamaru Usman is definitely much better overall. But striking-wise, Usman's probably a little bit better. But I think Morales has the better power in his punches. So this fight is really close just because I really want to see that grappling because, if Usman can avoid the submissions, I think he'll show he's a real top 10 guy. But I think that Morales is just so good on the ground that if Usman takes it there, which I think is going to happen, he's going to win by submission sooner or later. So I've got Sergio Morales winning by submission probably in the first round. Next is Gregor Gillespie versus Jason Gonzalez, and this fight is just a feeding. I mean, Gregor Gillespie is just going to run through this guy. I think striking and wrestling, he's way better in both aspects. I don't think Jason Gonzalez, like I said, they're pretty similar the way they fight, and I just feel like Gregor Gillespie is just way better in every aspect, and I think he's going to win by knockout, probably in the first round. Next is Hector Lombard versus Anthony Smith, and I really like Anthony Smith, and I think that he has potential to win this fight if he could keep a high volume. But to me, both these guys don't have super amazing cardio. I mean, Anthony Smith probably has better cardio, but his biggest weakness is he's never had great takedown defense, and if you can't take him down, he's not very good at getting back up. And I think even if Hector Lombard's tired, he'll be able to hit those judo takedowns whenever the fuck he wants, and he'll just be able to lay on this guy and win a decision. So I just feel like this is going to happen. Unless Anthony Smith can land a big knockout shot, which I doubt he will, I think Hector Lombard's either going to win by knockout or he's just going to be able to take this guy down whenever he wants and win an easy decision. So, like I said, I got Hector winning by decision. Next, we have Mike Perry versus Alex Reyes. And this was supposed to be Mike Perry versus Thiago Alves, but I think Thiago Alves got hurt or something during the hurricane. I don't know what it was, but he pulled out for some reason. Alex Reyes is actually a really decent prospect. He's won 12 straight. I think he's like 12-1 or 12-2. He's got good striking and good submissions. But the problem is he's small. He's like a lightweight guy, and Mike Perry is, Mike Perry's a little small too, but he's thick. He's kind of a big, small guy, and I feel like, he is a welterweight, and I think Mike Perry has just way too much power for Alex, and that's what we're gonna see. We're just gonna see two guys that, probably striking wise fight kind of similarly a little bit, but Mike Perry is just gonna be the bigger guy with bigger power, and he's just gonna move forward on this guy and eat whatever little shots Alex can throw at him, and I think sooner or later Mike Perry's going to win by knockout, probably in the first. And finally, we have Luke Rockhold versus David Branch. And I really like David Branch. I think he's really good. But, to me, I think him and Luke have the same style. But Luke is just a little bit better everywhere. I think his jiu-jitsu is a little bit better. I think his wrestling is a little bit better. And I think his striking is a little bit better. I also think he's a little bit bigger, and that's going to help him in any grappling situation. And this is how I see it. I see two guys with very similar styles overall. I think Luke kicks a little bit more than Dave does, but like I said, overall, I just think Luke's a little bit bigger and a little bit better everywhere. And I think sooner or later he's going to win by knockout or TKO. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.